Happy college football weekend. It's time to get you covered with an absolutely stacked Saturday slate. Can Tennessee light up the victory cigars for a second consecutive season?
Does Utah make it a U.S. three-peat against the Trojans?
Does the slipper fit for James Franklin and the Nittany Lions on a Saturday afternoon at the Shoe?
Is Duke's defense dominant enough to stifle a Seminole assault?
We're talking all that and so much more on a spectacular Saturday morning in Blacksburg. I'm Giovanni, joined alongside our spread savant, Mr. Raza Umerani, and it's an absolutely loaded college football weekend. We can't wait to unpack it for you. But first, let's take a look at last week's results. Raza, we hate to say it, far from our best performance.
Yeah, that's right, Gio. Unfortunately, it was our worst performance of the year thus far, going a drab 1-5. Our first sub-500 week, only Florida State came through for us with that big win against Syracuse. So that brings our season total to 14-12-2. It seems like there's nowhere to go but up.
You know, even Tom Brady threw 4 interceptions in a game once. It's time to bounce back with our weekly bout with the books.
It's time to show Vegas who's boss. Give me my theme music.
We start as we always do with the C tier, our cautious covers. First stop, Chapel Hill, as number 10 North Carolina hosts Virginia for the 128th iteration of the South's oldest rivalry.
The Tar Heels have worked their way into the top 10 off the heels of a massive win over Miami a week ago, as their high-flying offense led by star quarterback Drake May has been elevated to new heights, with highly touted transfer receiver Tez Walker being inserted into the lineup. Now, they face a Cavalier squad that, let's be honest, Gio, does not pose much of a defensive threat.
Yeah, Raza, UVA's rush defense is the 4th worst in all of the Power 5. They'll have their hands full with Umerani and Hampton on the ground, plus Drake May and that aerial attack will do plenty of damage to the Reeling Hoos.
Carolina is going to score plenty of points on one of the ACC's worst scoring defenses. Even though this spread is sizable, we like UNC to win and cover with swiftness.
Absolutely we do. Book it, baby. UNC minus 23.5.
Hey, let's stick with the trend of top 10 favorites. To the Big 12 we go, as number 6 Oklahoma hosts conference newcomers UCF for a noon kick in Norman.
The Sooners are fresh off a bye following their electric Red River victory over Texas, and they now sit as the league favorites. Quarterback Dylan Gabriel is playing like a true Heisman contender with his dual threat ability, while their top 10 scoring defense continues to defy these expectations under Brent Venables.
Yeah, their balance certainly makes them difficult to slow down, but the Knights might have the offense to keep up with them. UCF ranks 4th in total yardage and 3rd in rushing yardage nationally, leading the Big 12 in both categories. All I can say is this: if their star running back RJ Harvey gets going, look out.
You know, this is by far UCF's toughest test of this season, and as good as their run game is, their rushing defense might just be their downfall. I don't think that they're up for the challenge, especially with Oklahoma coming off a full week's rest with the bye, Raza.
Yeah, but 17.5 points is a lot to swallow, though, isn't it?
Scared money don't make money, brother.
You know what? You're right. Book it, baby. Oklahoma, minus 17.5.
Strap in, folks. It's all ranked matchups from here on out as we move up to the B tier, our balanced bets. We're going back to Cali for a marquee Pac-12 clash as number 18 USC hosts number 14 Utah.
Wait, is that the notorious GIO?
No.
Anyways, despite losing to the Utes twice last year and embarrassing us a week ago in South Bend, the Trojans are favored by a touchdown in this one. Yes, they've had their struggles, but at the end of the day, they still have Caleb Heisman Williams at the helm.
Yes, they do, Raza. They have Caleb Williams, but it's like you told me last week. USC really struggles against physical football teams, especially ones that can beat them up front. That's exactly what Utah did to them, not once, but twice a year ago. After seeing how the Trojans fared against Notre Dame's defense, I think that USC could be in for a long night against a Utah unit that's top 10 nationally in yardage.
That's a fantastic point, Gio. Utah's front is ferocious, ranking 5th in sacks and 1st in total sack yardage, in large part thanks to the dominance of defensive end Jonah Ellis, who has a whopping 9 on his own.
He's a monster.
The Utes might still have to rely on backup quarterback play, but they've been just fine thus far without Cam Rising.
Yes, they have been fine without Cam Rising, and it's easy behind that fantastic defense. For that, we like Utah to win this game outright as our underdog of the week. Book it, baby. Utah +7.
Gotta love it. Now we return to the ACC for one of the conference's biggest games of the year as number 16 Duke travels down to Tallahassee to tussle with number 4 Florida State.
Everybody wants to know whether or not O'Reilly Leonard's Blue Devils squad has a chance against the mighty Seminoles. Vegas, they say no. Our answer, it's yes.
Oh yeah, you bet it is. To their credit, Mike Elko's boys haven't lost a game without their star quarterback thus far, mostly thanks to that incredible defense which gives up less than 10 points per game. They've only given up double-digit points twice all year. But we know that this is their tallest task yet. We outlined the Noles' strengths last week, and they backed up our talk in style. It's not going to be easy, Gio.
Florida State can score in bunches, and Keon Coleman showed last week against Syracuse why he's one of the best wideouts in the nation. Now, we're not saying that Duke wins this thing outright on the road by any stretch of the imagination, but we do believe in their defensive ability to keep this thing within a couple of tutties. Give us Duke to cover in the doke.
Oh yeah, book it, baby. Duke +14.5.
Let's crank up the heat a notch here with an automatic ace, and it comes in the conference where it just means more. Alabama, Tennessee, in Tuscaloosa. Need I say more, Mr. Umerani?
No, Mr. Heater, it really speaks for itself, especially after last year's 52-49 thriller in Neyland. The number 11 Tide are looking for revenge on the number 17 Vols after that game, and Vegas likes them to win by multiple possessions. But quite frankly, I'm not sure why. This is not your daddy's Alabama squad. They've had their fair share of struggles on both sides of the ball, highlighted by some uncertainty at the quarterback position.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And when you look at things, Raza, the Tide have already tumbled at home with a loss to Texas and just escaped an absolute house fire against Arkansas last week. On the other side, Tennessee is dominant on the ground with Jalen Wright out of the backfield, and they can swing it around Rocky Top with Joe Milton letting it rip.
They definitely can. The Vols really match up well here. At the very least, we like them to stay within 2 scores on the road and maybe, just maybe, come away smoking those victory cigars once again.
Book it, baby. Tennessee +9.5.
And now for the Mac Daddy, our super selection of the week. Arguably the biggest game of the college football season thus far as 2 juggernauts collide in Columbus. It's number 7 Penn State on the road to take on the number 3 Ohio State Buckeyes.
Let them know, Raza. Let them know. The numbers just don't look good historically for the Nittany Lions. Ohio State has won 10 of the last 11 meetings between the two. James Franklin is 0-9 versus top 10 teams on the road, 1-11 versus top 5 teams, and 1-8 versus the Buckeyes, including 6 consecutive losses since that 2016 thriller in Happy Valley. It's safe to say that the Buckeyes have just had old James's number during his tenure at Penn State.
I will say, Gio, those are some shocking numbers, but this is not about the past. This Nittany Lions team is legit with a high-powered offense led by quarterback Drew Aller, but they are especially great defensively. We're talking first in total yards, first in passing yards, third in rushing yards, second in scoring, and first in point differential. They've got some absolute dogs on that team like Abdul Carter and Chop Robinson up front, with Kalen King locking things down on the outside.
Listen to me carefully, Raza. I don't care if Deion Sanders is on that field. The Buckeyes got this dude named Marvin Harrison Jr. Now, we said that Shedeur Sanders was his daddy's son, and I'd have to say that Marvelous Marv certainly fits that bill. Not to mention the Buckeyes got a dominance on defense themselves. Ohio State is top 7 in total yards, passing yards, and points. Brutus is going to be one happy nut on Saturday.
It's hard to argue with all that, my friend. Both of these defenses are elite, but the Bucs offense is going to make the difference late, as it seemingly always does in this series. Book it, baby! Ohio State -4.5.
Well, slapshot me in the face and lather me up in maple syrup. That was so much fun. Let's recap, shall we? We're cautiously taking the big favorites in UNC and Oklahoma to cover at home.
Hey, give us Utah and Duke to keep things close as road dogs.
You know what? How about Tennessee to take it down to the wire in Tuscaloosa?
And finally, with our super selection of the week, we're hammering the Ohio State Buckeyes to pick up the big win in Columbus.
I absolutely love that. The Ohio State. Little bit of a Gus Johnson toss right there.
Yeah, you know it.
Well, that does it for today. We'll see you right back here next week ahead of another College Football Saturday.
Until then, when they call, you be sure to tell them we got it covered.